In pursuing the goal of living life to the fullest, we aim to optimize on those things that feed the mind, body, and spirit. Well, today I want to present a different perspective, slightly different. Let's look at doing the best we can and reaping the rewards in the areas of business, life and health, or business life, and then health and wellness. All right. I'm Stephanie Treasure, online marketing strategist and business mentor. And today I am pleased to host a special presentation that is titled Business and Lifestyle Strategies to Help You Live the Life You Want. Today, I'm interviewing a panel of 7 experts in the areas of business, marketing, lifestyle, success coaching, holistic wellness, and nutrition. So what is life if you're not growing in all the key areas? We are committed, myself and the experts that I've handpicked for this presentation, we're committed to support you in your growth with some valuable nuggets and resources in these key areas. Now, this presentation is conveniently being broadcast for you today on my Facebook page. So that's where you may be watching. In my Facebook group, The Passionate, Purposeful, and Powerful Entrepreneurs, and on my YouTube channel, which is Stephanie Treasure. So I invite you to join us, and I want to share with you that all of the experts today have social media platforms themselves where they're committed to providing daily resources and support in these areas of their expertise. So tune in, take notes, interact with us if you can, using the comments section below. Let us know where you're joining from. I always like to know how far and wide my reach goes. And let us know where you're joining from and also share what you do, right? I know there's going to be some business owners joining us, some corporate persons joining us, from some busy moms joining us. And I'd love to hear whereabouts in the world you're located and what you're doing and the value that you're bringing to this world. All right. I wanted to share with you that there is a resource sheet that I've created. I've put this together so that, I know things are going to go pretty fast here today as we present with these experts. So I want for you to be able to see their bios, which I'm going to be reading each time I start the interview. But I want you to know a little bit more about them. I want you to also be able to follow them online where they are showing up for their audience as it resonates with you. You can follow one or all of these experts today. And there, a few of them have also presented some resources, some virtual handouts for you, some virtual guides that will help you in the respective areas that they're going to be presenting today. So that guide right now is in caption, just a simple Google document. Feel free to download that at any time, even as you're watching the replay. And again, for my replay viewers, as I know we're going to get quite a few replay viewers because this time may not be convenient for all. So replay viewers, please let us know that you were here. Go ahead and say hi and use the hashtag replay. So I want to dive in, but there's just one area in terms of where we're being simulcast or broadcasting simultaneously. One of those areas is in the Facebook group, and sometimes the live stream does not show in that space. So I want to make sure that it's there. Okay, now I see it. All right, so like I said, just comment below and let us know that you're here and where you're logging in from, and share with us what you do. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right in and bring forward my first panel expert, the lovely Yvonne Marimo. Welcome, Yvonne.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Pleasure to have you. So let me tell you a little bit more about Yvonne. Yvonne Marimo is a mindset and can-do coach. She helps midlife women who feel unfulfilled in life and in their careers to find the confidence to chase their dreams and create the life that they deserve. She does this through providing the woman with mindset and confidence tools so that they can feel empowered to change the things in their lives that are holding them back and have the courage and determination to find solutions to their problems so that they can live happy, healthy, prosperous, and fulfilling lives. And today, Yvonne is going to share with you some nuggets and wisdom around the era or the topic titled The GROW Model. That's GROW, an acronym. The GROW Model for a Goal Oriented Life. All right. Welcome again, Yvonne, and let's dive in.
Thank you.
So, share with us what led you to be a coach.
Um, when I look back to my own personal life and career, coaching was very much a central part of my career development. So, in all the organizations that I worked or that I led, coaching was there as part of continuous professional development to help me progress through the career. So that's when I was sort of introduced to coaching, and I loved it because I felt that it was a powerful way of getting help to get what you want. And so it was from those early beginnings, when I was working, when I didn't even know what it was, that it was introduced to me. And over the years, I've had so many coaches and mentors who've really added value to my life. And my life has never been the same because of those coaches, that have been part of my life. So for me, this is like a transition from those early days to now, doing coaching myself and coaching midlife women because I know how much I got out of it. And I know how much other women can get out of it.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. I like the fact that you're on a journey where you've been supported and you've come up, you've kind of that kind of lit the fire in you to be able to help others in the way that you've been supported to be able to live their best lives, right? And although you mentioned that you do work with midlife women, um, can you go a little bit deeper and give me an idea of the kind of people that you work with typically? What problems they usually present with, or some other defining factor to kind of zone in on the persons that could truly benefit from the work that you do?
Okay, so there isn't a sort of clear definition of a midlife woman, but when you sort of hear what I'm going to say, it's probably going to resonate with some people. As women, when we get older and maybe we get married, we have children, and some have grandchildren, you find that we sacrifice so much of ourselves. We bury our dreams. We forget about who we are. We lose our identity and we give up on life almost. We don't know who we are. No, so it is that woman that I want to speak to, that I want to work with, because I've had my own midlife crisis. And, I've had a coach who's helped me to say, hey, look, as long as you're still alive, as long as you're still breathing, there's more to you that you can achieve. So life never ends just because you've reached your midlife or beyond. So it is that woman who thinks that, they can't do anything anymore because they are older or because they are married or because they've got grandchildren. So it is that specific woman who's given up on life that no, it's never the end of your life. There is more to you because you bring so much experience, so much wisdom, and it is that which I kind of focus on as well.
I love your energy that you're bringing to this and how you've put it forward. I already feel, part of what you mentioned in terms of being a can-do coach. I feel like I can do anything, like I can conquer the world just from what you've said so far. So let's get into this, your methodology, your system, right? Your can-do coaching model or your can-do coaching description. I know that your model is the GROW model, and the GROW is an acronym. Let's walk through this acronym, this step by step, and so that folks can see how they can apply this to their lives.
Okay, so the GROW model is actually a quite simple and yet powerful framework that we work with as a coach. And GROW, like you rightly said, is an acronym. G stands for goals, R stands for reality or for options, W for will or when. Let me, expand on that a bit. So when you start coaching somebody, it's important that they be clear about their goals. What is it that they want to achieve? So you have a conversation between yourself and your client. You go deeper. Sometimes they even start off wanting something, but by the end of that conversation, because you've dug deep, they come up with a completely different goal that they want to achieve. So G is for goal. And then you move on to R, which is reality. It's important that you explore what their reality is. What is it that they're facing? What is stopping them from reaching their goals? What are the barriers? What are the obstacles? What are the beliefs? What are the stories that they are telling themselves that are stopping them from achieving that goal that they've set themselves? So again, that is a whole process in itself, and it is about asking open questions so that you give the client the permission to reflect and really dig deep and think about it and come up with some answers about their reality. And then we move on to the O. O are the options. You also need to know what options they have. When you get to the options, you need to know whether they have any support. Do they have a supportive partner? Do you have the money to invest in themselves? Do you have the skills, or do they need to reskill? Are they in the right environment where they can be able to actually implement the goals that they want to achieve? So all of those issues are it's looking at the options that they can explore. And sometimes when a client comes to me, they don't realize that the experience that they've had, they've got such transferable skills, because of being a midlife woman who's had so many life experiences. They bring a lot of knowledge and wisdom that they can apply to this new goal that they've set themselves. So we explore those options, and then we move on to the will. You have to look at, have they got the will to do it? But even beyond that, it's about actually working towards when. So the W is the will, but also the when, and also the how and the when. So this is when you come up with a concrete action plan that they can implement. And that action plan is usually the solutions that they themselves have actually come up with through the process of questioning that happens.
Wow, I love that. That is so powerful. It makes logical sense. It's a logical sequence, but I'm sure not many persons who are looking to have more fulfilled lives and achieve their goals really think of it that way. And especially what you mentioned about options. There was an older video slightly related to this, but there's a video that Gary Vee released saying that, he hears from persons from time to time, older persons who say, I don't know if I can pursue my business goals right now or career goals. This is a young people's world, technology, etc. But now is the time that with all the technology that we have to our avail, as well as the fact that, the older you get, the more experience you have, the more experienced you are, and the more you bring to the table. So there's more options than persons may think, and I'm sure that you, with your expertise, are able to pull that out and really open that up for persons who are thinking that I don't have much to work with. Should I even try? I like the way that you're able to, through your methodology, bring that out in them and have persons really get to a point where they're achieving their goals and being able to live their best lives.
Yes, and because they've been busy focusing on looking after others, they forget that they actually do have those skills. And so for me as a coach, it's important that I remind them that, oh, no, actually, you are well equipped to do this. You have the experience, you have the skills, you have the passion, go for it. You can do it.
Yes, can do coaching.
Yes.
I have a question here from our audience, but let me go ahead. There was a couple of more things I wanted to get from you. What do you find is the biggest mistake or block that holds people back from achieving their goals?
Okay, apart from the big F, like fear of failure, whatever, let me speak a bit about beliefs. You know, a lot of us, me included, we've been instilled with these limiting beliefs in our lives that become as if they are true, and yet they aren't. A belief in itself is a principle accepted as real without any evidence, without any proof. So sometimes we deny ourselves certain opportunities because we have these ingrained beliefs that have been created as a result of maybe our gender, our culture, politics, economics, that women do this or that, or men do that, all of those things. So I find that a lot of women, a lot of my clients have challenges around limiting beliefs.
Powerful, powerful. Yeah, what did they say about fear? Fear is evidence.
False
False
evidence
evidence.
appearing real.
That's what came to mind. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that.
Yeah,
And
I mean, there was this, I think years ago, I remember this, back in the 90s, I think there was a company that put out an advert, with a job description, and the title of the job, you've probably heard about this. It's something that is used in sort of training and development, where they published an advert for a job for an executive director, and more men than women applied. And then when they changed the title of that a job, with the job script, the content of the job script remaining the same, and they put assistant manager, more women applied. So what does that tell you about our beliefs? It tells
yes,
us that we perceive that only men can be executive directors.
yes, yes. That's powerful, powerful. I haven't seen it, but I totally get it the way that you explained it. I'm gonna before we wrap up, I want to make sure that we get a question in here. So let me divert a minute. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Heidi wants to know something. She'd love to know something critical that you learned from a coach that helped you to get where you are right now. Some key lesson that you may have learned from a previous coach.
Okay, that you just go and get what you want. Don't be afraid to do something. Even if you fail, it is actually okay, because you will learn something out of it. So just go for it. Don't be afraid. Don't limit yourself. That way.
Right, right. And that
Yeah.
has kept you going and got you here so far. And this is what you're bringing to your work. I can feel that.
Thank you.
And Heidi here is saying, powerful story from the executive director. And then when they posted it for an assistant manager or assistant director, powerful, powerful story. I agree. So tell me, what's a big takeaway that you want persons to leave with today after watching?
Okay, that nothing will ever be given to you on a plate. You either have to create it, ask for it, or be visible, like we're doing today on your program. That is the only way you can get what you want. So create your opportunities, create your place at the table so that you can achieve your goals. You can do it.
Yes, yes. And this, as they say, the best way to predict your future is to create it. Yes, create your own
Absolutely.
opportunities. Love that.
Yes.
So I'd like to offer you to share really quickly where persons can follow you online.
I am on Instagram under my name, Yvonne Marimo. You'll find me there. I'm also on Twitter under my name, Yvonne Marimo.
Great. And as a reminder, there is a resource sheet in a guide, a handout for your virtual handout that we created for you for this presentation. Once you click on the link and download that, it's right here in the caption. Once you click on that, you will be able to see Yvonne, a little bit more about Yvonne. You'll get a full schedule of what's happening today. Then you'll be able to read the bio of all the experts and see where you can follow them online. And Yvonne has shared hers. It's right at the top. go ahead and follow her and stay in her space, stay in her energy. And I thank you so much for joining us today, Yvonne, and all that you shared. Very enlightening, very powerful. And again, I thank you. Thank you for being here. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You are welcome. All right, so we're moving on to the next expert. So I think I may not have said it in the beginning. I am spending about 15 minutes or so, 15 minutes-ish, with each of the experts that we're presenting today. So I am going to go ahead and segue right into our next expert as we continue to explore the areas of living your best, having your best, sharing strategies rather for business and life, high achievement goals, etc. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and bring on my next guest. And it's Chef Mary from Kitchen Times. Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, everybody.
Awesome. Great to have you here. So I want to share with folks a little bit more about you before we dive into what you have to share today. So I should have checked this before. It's the last name is pronounced Limerding.
That's right. Yes.
Perfect. All right. So Mary Limerding is a fully trained personal chef who coaches home-based professionals to make healthful meals to break the cycle of takeout and delivery. Mary was trained at George Brown College in Toronto in culinary management. She cooked professionally for 10 years, including at the Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta and several well-known restaurants in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Mary raised her son to cook for himself, and at age 32, he could only occasionally, buys his meals. The skill of cooking has helped to make him independent financially and personally. Mary loves helping her clients to work effectively in the kitchen. Enjoying the process of cooking makes it easier to do it every day. Clients learn to enjoy the process of preparing their food and eating at the dining table alone or with family and friends. She also has a coaching certificate from the Transformation Academy. She has been a Toastmaster member since 2008 and has filled roles which include the club executive, facilitator, coach, mentor, coordinator, trainer, contest judge, and contestant at different times. This life journey has led Mary to become a cooking coach, helping clients to take their desire to cook to a new, improved, higher level. And today, what we're going to talk about with Mary, what she's going to share, is 5 tips for making cooking fun and easy. I like this topic. Welcome again, Mary.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I am not a big fan of the kitchen. So I am very excited to bring this talk, to bring you forward to share with folks. And I would describe myself as a busy business owner and mom and daughter, right? I'm wearing a few hats here, and life gets busy. Life gets, the better of my time sometimes. And it may not allow for me to spend the time that I should in the kitchen, or when I do go in the kitchen, I see it as a chore, just another thing that I have to do today, right? So I'm happy to go through these tips that will help us to see cooking as fun and easy, and make those choices to cook more and buy, what may not be, the most healthy food, and certainly not necessarily the most economical option to do, right?
Right.
So let's start with you telling us what led you on this journey of being a cooking coach.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, all my life it's built up to this. It's when I went to school, out of high school, I went to college and learned the culinary management and started cooking just because it was a job. So that helped with my cooking skills. And then later on, I was working in an office, and we were trying to while we were going out to eat and stuff, and I got really broke. And it was time to cut back on what we were spending on food. And I developed ideas for making it less expensive. And yeah, you're working full time and then you got to go home and cook. And I didn't always feel like it. So I developed ways to make it easier some days where you could just reach into the fridge or the freezer and pull your meal out. And I taught my son to cook. And I just decided, well, I found out that some people don't even like being in the kitchen, which was a new concept for me. And I decided that I would help other people to get comfortable with cooking. People take cooking lessons and they come home with recipes, but they might not have the ingredients and the skills and the impetus to make those recipes. So I'm just trying to help people to get more comfortable in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because when looking to save money, I part of your story, I'm resonating with the part of your story where you said, your husband and your husband and yourself got to a point where, life happened and, just things that you were doing and, money that you were spending on eating out or, getting takeout was getting to a point where it was taking from the family budget. And you got to a point where you were broke. And usually whenever persons are trying to cut back or tighten up their budgets and, put more money into savings or retirement or whatever, one of those line items that the experts normally tell you to trim the fat on, no pun intended, is what you're spending on takeout, right? To cut back on the food budget, because you definitely save more money when you cook at home versus buying food. And the other thing that a medical professional may tell you is that some of the things that you're buying and spending money on are not exactly the most healthful choices for you. So I love that you shared that you started exploring ways to eat more at home, and you help others to do the same, as well as make these healthier choices. Mm-hmm. So tell us, who are the people that you tend to work with who may need a cooking coach?
Well, I think anybody that doesn't have a parent around to help them get started. But I know some parents didn't cook either, so it could go either way. I work with home-based professionals because I think they're the ones that tend to get caught up in their work and they don't prepare or plan their meals, and all of a sudden it's time to eat. So they'll just pick up the phone and call somebody and have it delivered. And like you said, it's not always the healthiest. It could be higher in salt and fat and
Great.
So it's home-based professionals for the most part.
Okay, great. Sounds good. So let's dive into these 5 tips that make cooking more fun and easy. What's tip number 1?
Tip number 1 is to clear the clutter. Look around your kitchen and make sure that you have some space to cook in. I have a small kitchen, so it's very easy to fill it up. And if you have the right supplies, then it is also much easier. I brought a couple to show you. This is my cleaver. I love showing off the cleaver. My mother-in-law got it when she was working at a camp, and she really loved it, so she took it home with her, and we inherited it. But it is important to have good knives. Let's see. There we go.
Yes, I can see it.
And a bread knife, because if you buy a loaf of bread, you want to have a good knife. So it's good to have some good tools around you to make it easier. But if you have too much that you don't use, then it's just clutter and it fills up the space. And also you need to have the tools handy so that you're not looking all over the place for your supplies.
Great. So clear the clutter and make sure you have the right tools. Mm-hmm. What's tip number 2?
Tip number 2 is putting on some music. I like using music to get me moving. If you need to work really hard for an afternoon and prepare stuff, I start with something like Uptown Funk with Bruno Mars. It gets me going, or I
I
put on
like that
Proud
song.
Mary with Tina Turner. And sometimes at the end of the day, I just want to relax and I'll put on some symphony music. So I find the music really helps. And also, if you like working with someone, you can invite people into your space and work with them, or tell them, no, this is my time, and out you go. So, you set the rules and then it'll work for you.
Yeah, sometimes when I know I'm going to be in the kitchen for some time, I will find playlists from music from, hopefully not dating myself, but music from the 70s or the 80s, just
Yeah,
oldies.
whatever works.
And I will just have that playing while I'm in the kitchen. So yeah, that's a great tip. It does make it more fun and takes out the monotony. A couple of comments here. Lynn is saying that by default she takes out too much these days as she gets busier and busier. And Dave says he loves to cook but needs some new ideas to eat healthier. Great.
Yeah.
So let's go on to tip number 3.
Tip number 3 is to dress comfortably. Make sure you have a good apron because you don't want to mess up your clothes, but be comfortable. Make sure that you're not going to spoil anything that you're wearing, and get a hat if you want. I brought my hat. Here's my hat. So have some fun in the kitchen.
Nice, nice.
It needs a bit of starch. If it had starch, it would stand up. But anyway, yeah.
Very nice.
So
Thanks for sharing that.
have
Nice,
some fun,
nice.
you know?
Tina here says, my late stepmom used to prepare meals for 12 people in a 6 feet by 6 feet kitchen by being really organized. Yes, yes. Very important to be organized.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. What is tip number 4?
Tip number 4 is deciding what to prepare and being realistic about it. Do you have the supplies to, like the tools that you need to make it? Do you have the food? Or if you don't have the food, do you have the substitutes? So it creates a plan. And also, if you don't know how, pull up a YouTube video. I wanted to make spring rolls and I had everything, but I wasn't quite sure how to roll them up. So I just pulled up. It took about 3 videos, and then I found one that I really liked, and it helped me to make the spring rolls. And another thing is a pulled pork that I make in a slow cooker, and that provides several meals. So I just freeze it, and then one of the times that I don't want to cook very much, I just pull the pulled pork out of the freezer, pop it in the microwave to heat it up, and put it on a roll or rice or a baked potato that you pop into the microwave. And that's your meal. Cut up a few vegetables and you have a balanced meal that's very simple.
So, very practical.
Yeah. So, and finally,
come again?
The last thing is your dining space.
Okay.
Instead of taking your plate to the TV, set the table, with the cutlery and dishes and napkins and music once again, and invite friends over. If you're dining alone, then make it really nice. Or if I'm dining alone, I put on a podcast, and sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's a music concert, just something to enjoy it.
Yeah, very nice. I love that. And so thank you for sharing those 5 tips. Very practical, very fun. And a couple of them I was already doing. Now now that I know that this can truly make the experience even better, I will get more diligent with that. So thank you so much for sharing that. What are some common mistakes that you see people making that can make cooking not fun or easy for them, or may cause them to give up on cooking their own meals?
I think part of it is not planning your time and in a space. Having a good plan really helps. Your space, your time, what you can make. Be realistic. If you have the time to make something in the slow cooker, then do it. But if you don't, pull something out of the freezer. And if you need to get it organized, put a a list on the fridge and say, Monday we have this, Tuesday we have this, Wednesday we have this. And so I take it out, maybe 2 days in advance so that it has time to thaw out, but not having too much. But yeah, we just cleared the fridge yesterday. My husband says there's too much in here. And, yeah, some of it had to go, but it's easy to do.
Yeah, being organized and planning, and there's some things that may need some prep too. So whether it's something that needs to be pre-seasoned or cut up and put in a small container so that the day of you can be more prepared.
Yeah.
Very practical. So what's one big takeaway that you can share with folks that are watching today?
That it's possible to cook for yourself and enjoy the process. That's it in a nutshell. Just do the planning and believe, like Yvonne was talking about. It's believing in the process, and it's possible to, like, we used to put out $400 a month in interest payments because our cards were maxed out, and they're gone now. So and it's more expensive ordering in as well, if you realize.
Yeah.
I sent him out for dinner once. He came back with sushi. That was $63 for one meal. Well, actually, it covered us for 2 meals, but that's almost a week's groceries sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you so much for sharing what you shared today. This was fun, and thank you for sharing the props as well. So what's a resource that you want to leave persons with today? I actually created a resource sheet with the links of some of the free guides that persons can get, as well as where they can follow you online. I'm not quite sure I have yours yet, but share what it is so that when I do put it there, persons can know what to expect.
I have a 15-minute video about the tools that we use in the kitchen. And also there is a PDF, a chart about tools, what's important, what's not really important, and what's considered extra. And those are available for people.
Okay, and where can we find you on Facebook? Remind us of the...
On Facebook, it's Chef Mary /KT, and my website is kitchentimes.org.
Okay, we are very easy to remember, kitchentimes.org, and I will update the resource sheet with Mary's information. So still go ahead and download it. It will automatically, your copy will automatically update. And Tina is saying, thank you, Mary. And Dave had also tuned in. I'm sure he got great insight. And Lynn as well.
Lynn and everyone else in the group.
And Heidi had said, great to see you. So this was fun. Thank you so much for being on our expert panel and all that you brought to the table today. It was a pleasure to have you, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye, everybody. All right, fun. So that was Mary. And as I mentioned, let me just... Okay, as I mentioned, we're sharing resources here to help you to optimize, how you're showing up in life and business. And, each person, I'm speaking with each expert that has made their time available and are sharing resources with you here, about 15 minutes-ish to speak and give you these resources, as well as they've provided additional resources for you in the resource sheet that you can find in the caption of today's live stream. So I am going to move on to our very next, let me see where I am here. Our very next expert. I'm going to bring her in. Yay, there she is, the lovely Heidi Esther. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for the invite.
Awesome.
Good morning.
So let me go ahead. Good morning and welcome again. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to our guests so that they can get to know you formally. But we're going to, shed the formalities because, that's your personality. And we're going to dive into what you have to share with us today. So Heidi Esther is a storyteller, writer, poet, big feeler, Midwestern mama, and spoiler of all dogs, especially her chestnut-eyed Olive. She's committed to guiding soul searchers to greater authenticity and joy, no matter what. She resides in central Illinois with her prankster wife, two eye rolling teenagers, and two spoiled dogs. When she doesn't have her head in the clouds or motivational book, she can be found trying to teach her children the virtues of meditation, making sourdough pancakes, or growing parsley for caterpillars. So today, Heidi's going to share with you her talk is titled Finding Your Joyfully Ever After, for crying out loud.
Crying out loud.
Thank you so much. I love the sound of this topic. Very, very fun. And as I said before, we're going to share the formalities and really dive in here with this topic because Heidi brings a lot to the table as it relates to this, and keeping your soul sanity, as she called it, which we're probably going to speak a little bit about. And I can't wait to dive in. So let's cut to the chase, right?
All right, what you got for me?
All right, so joyfully ever after, right? We've heard happily ever after.
Yeah.
Joyfully ever after, in the context of a book that you have coming out by the same name. What does that mean, and why did you write this book that's coming out soon?
So you remember the pandemic that we're in. I think it was last May. I woke up and I'm at home with my two kids. We're all in an open concept home, which it was a really good idea when we purchased the house, but during the pandemic, I kind of wish we had more doors. But I woke up and I had been let go from my job. I had tried to find another job, tried to fit right back into the, efficient human matrix of being a helpful citizen. And I woke up and I realized I was living the life of my dreams in the middle of this pandemic. I had found joy. I started writing my goofy storytelling, mama, Midwestern face plants, dogs, getting me up in the middle of the night and making me realize I'm also codependent. I realized that I had found this deep sense of joy, like happily ever after, right? You think Prince Charming and the princess, they're just happy all the time. But the joy, that was something I'd never experienced before, is this deep sense of connectedness with my inner purpose. And I'd never really thought about what's my main purpose in life. And, I'm just kind of drifting in the ether. I just was trying to be a good citizen. And I woke up and I started writing. And that is where I was. I was in my joyfully ever after. And then I was like, everyone needs to know about this because it's possible for everyone, for you, for me, for your next door neighbor, to get to this place of deep joy. I'm not saying like everything's easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm saying when the stuff hits the fan, you say, all right, the stuff's on the fan. What lesson can I learn? Do I need a ladder? Do I need to get the, spray cleaner out? What did I learn from that? Oh, maybe I need to put the lid on my food processor, So that's Joyfully Ever After. And for crying out loud, so Joyfully Ever After Media is the name of my business. And I give practical, playful, and mindful tools like my faceplant stories, self-reflections, and fun little printables. But for crying out loud was something different. So 12 years ago, I was not at this place, right? Not at this place of like deep joy and resilience and gratitude for all of the bumps and all of the joy and all the celebrations. I was in a place where I was isolated, and I was a stay-at-home mom of two toddlers, and I was being my good, efficient citizen self. I was taking care of my kids and taking care of, make sure my house was spotless and clean and everything was perfect and everything was great. But what I wasn't doing, and this is something that I share about in the book, I wasn't in any connection with myself. And I think
Okay.
the big question is my goals then. Like, I didn't know, if you don't consciously ask what your goals are, right, and set your goal, how are you going to get there, right? You
Right.
can't say like, oh, I'm just going to go for a drive and then hope you get maybe somewhere warm. You have to say, all right, I'm going to go to Albuquerque and I'm going to pack for a week and you know, bring all my supplies, and we're going to go there. You might end up in like Wichita, which might be a warm place, but if it's not where you were intending to go, you don't get there. So for crying out loud is a journey. My first real journey into self-awareness and realizing that maybe my goals of being a perfect stay-at-home mom and being that would be success and that would make me feel great. Maybe that's not my goal. Maybe perfect isn't the goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So would you say that that was the key thing that you learned from writing the book?
Oh, wow. So it's a very interesting journey. So when you live through something, you just kind of feel like, oh, wow, I survived that hot mess. Wow. But when you go back and you reflect upon it, you realize, oh, there was this whole structure in place. And oh, those were the stairs I climbed up. Oh, that was really interesting. So I learned that we as humans are meant to be in community. We're meant to have support. I mean, I always kind of chuckled to myself like, God made us with ears and mouths, so therefore we can talk and listen to other people. But we can't do this human thing alone, and we need
Right.
support. So in the start of my journey, I was very isolated. It was me cleaning a big house, taking care of 2 toddlers, trying to make sure that I had a peaceful house. I was more of like an innate codependent enabler, and my husband at the time, he could be somewhat volatile. So it was all about keeping the peace and making sure everything was good. So that was one of the things I learned, is that we humans really need support. And I also
Right.
learned something that I didn't realize until I actually wrote the book, is I didn't know how to express my feelings. I just kind of was just shoving them down, just, oh, I feel a little nervous today. Let's go get some coffee. Let's
Yeah.
organize the silverware drawer again.
Yeah.
So, so that's something I had to learn, and I call it the feelings parfait. So I had to learn to eat my feelings parfait. I had to learn to actually feel my feelings and not dismiss them as
Yes.
like, oh, you know, this is just an abnormal thing for humans. I need to stay on my efficient, productive human track here. But you know what? We're not robots.
Right. Right. And one of the things I'm hearing from what you're saying too is that one of the things that we tend to do is we look at life, we look at what we have in front of us. So, you know, you said you had a big house, you have 2, you know, wonderful toddlers, you're married. But so on paper, everything is supposed to be okay, right? You know, this is a dream. You're living the dream, you're going through, and you kind of feel guilty for feeling anything less than happy or grateful that you have a picture perfect life. So you have no right to complain.
Yeah, so
right?
don't open that door because you're not supposed to. Everything is fine. So
Right.
why bother? Yeah,
Right.
keep the status quo. This is
Yeah.
that's what success
Yeah.
is for
I love
you.
that. I love that. So what are some of the other things that you think people will relate to and learn from reading Joyfully Ever After for crying out loud?
Well, the one thing that I hope that every single person who picks up the book and, you know, gives it a go realizes is that you deserve joy. No matter what. We're all here for such a short amount of time. We all have an amazing light, and it's worth the whole messy, beautiful transformation to get to that place. That you can ask that question. You can open that door. You can ask for support because you deserve that joy on this planet.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's so important right now that we're, coming back to the fact that you said you even found this joy in the midst of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it may seem easier to be in isolation because you're being safe, right? You're avoiding the crowds and you're social distancing and you're staying home, and you may have to, or you may isolate, or you're just isolated physically and not doing anything virtually or any of the other things like we used to do, like pick up the phone and call someone, or just reach out to person and say, hey, do you want to talk, or can we talk for a few minutes, or set up those virtual engagements on using platforms that we have to our avail, like Zoom or Google Meet, right?
Yes. Can I say something? So my book, in a nutshell, is my self-awareness journey in the midst of basically you call it a midlife crisis. I might call it a midlife awakening, midlife breakdown, all of that messy stuff. But what will also come out with the book is a companion guide. And the companion guide takes your hand and goes through how to set up that support in your life so that you can do brave things and you can get to your joy. It also goes through how to eat your feelings. There's a thing called the feelings parfait. So I was at a place, like, I'm a big feeler, but I used to just say, all right, Diet Coke and organizing my laundry is the way. So if I can do it, I know you can do it. Anyone can do it. And also it talks a little bit about, I call it peeling the onion. So kind of getting off all those layers, right? All those other roles that we have in our life, so that you can kind of wade into that pool of maybe who are you on the inside and open that door. Because once you open that door and you have the support and you're eating your feelings and letting them go through you, you can find your joy.
Lovely, lovely. And I want to share with you a couple of words. Yvonne had said, I don't remember which point she was referring to, but she said, wow, that's powerful, Heidi. Love how you overcame all those challenges. She also says, wow, I love that. We and I deserve joy. And she loves that you had a midlife awakening, not a crisis. That was an aha moment for me right there. And we also have Mary saying, excellent message, Heidi, a great reminder.
Aww, that's great. Thank you, Yvonne and Mary.
So when will the book be available? When can we expect to see this and get a hold
All right.
of it?
So For Crying Out Loud should be on bookshelves and digital bookshelves and audio bookshelves in February of 2022.
Okay.
And
great.
If you want to get more information and stay up in tune with what the book schedule is, and maybe even help bring the light out into the world, you can just go to HeidiEsser.com, and that you can also get a free joy guide, but you'll also get an encouraging message from me every week to let you know, keep you on the path to finding your joy.
Yes. So that's HeidiEsser.com.
Yes.
Okay, great. And while people wait for the book, and the companion workbook, I hear that's to come out, you have a free guide that you created. Tell us what that is and why persons should download it once they get to the site.
All right. So I have a Jumpstart to Joy guide, and it's an over 20-page practical, playful, fun guide that has different exercises that you can put in only if you have a minute, or if you have an hour, if you have more than an hour, that help you uncover little bits and big bits of joy in your life starting today.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that and all that you shared today. I know that those listening really got great value from this. And thanks for sharing, how your story, being vulnerable and sharing your story too, which is an inspiration for others. And I can't wait for the book to be out. I know you've been working at this, and February 2022 can't come soon enough so that we can get a hold of it.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
You are welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And I'll see you soon. All right, so you've heard quite an array of different viewpoints and strategies as relates to life and business. Well, mostly life so far, and I'm happy that you're still here and you're tuning in and you're getting value from this. Please don't forget to comment below and say hi to our panel of experts who have given up their time and they're giving their strategies and they're also sharing resources for you to take away today, which you can find in the caption of this live stream. Go ahead and click on that. It's a simple Google document that we've created and put together that tells you a little bit more about our experts and where you can find them doing good online and on social media. So be sure to download that guide, go ahead and follow those persons, take advantage of the resources that are shared there, and comment here as well so that we can see that you're getting value, that you're benefiting from this. And if there's a friend or colleague that you know that can tune in while they're doing something else, while they're working, while they're multitasking from their phone or their computer, ping them and say, come and join this presentation. You're going to love it. They're sharing some great strategies today for life and business. All right. So I'm going to go ahead to our very next guest expert. And it is the wonderful, the beautiful Cora Williams. Hi, Cora.
Hi.
Thank you so much for lending your expertise to this panel of experts. And we are, with Cora, we're going to segue into some business tips and advice and strategies for you. And let me go ahead and share what I mean by that by giving you my formal introduction to Cora Williams. And then Cora is going to, or we're going to dive in together to what she is going to be sharing with you today. So Cora is the founder of JLCE VA, JLCE Virtual Assistant. The VA stands for Virtual Assistant. And her business is a small, motivated powerhouse company specializing in project management and online event management. She believes passionately in customized packages and excellent service, which is why she commits herself to giving you the best of both. If you're looking for something unique, you're in the right place. Her credo is to be industrious and innovative, offering her clients what they want, putting their desires at the top of her priority list. So what we're going to talk about today, and business owners, solopreneurs, small business owners are going to really love this. We formally titled this From Stress to Structure, creating the foundation of standard operating procedures. So you may hear standard operating procedures and think it's going to be a lot of business jargon, but it's not going to be, I promise. And you really, really want to listen into this if you are feeling a little out of sorts, disorganized, and trying to keep it all together as a busy business owner and possibly wearing other hats as well. As I mentioned before, I'm wearing the hat of a mom, of a daughter, as of a friend, and I belong to a few other community organizations and groups. So yeah, life is kind of busy. So having standard operating procedures to help to reduce the stress and put more structure into my business is key. So listen up, take notes, and again, consult the resource document in caption of this live stream to find out where you can connect more with Cora and learn more about what she's doing, and see how you can learn more about creating these standard operating procedures to have your business be more structured. So Cora, welcome again. What led you to be doing this kind of work?
So, what led me to this is my love of learning, especially new things, and my investment in others. So, my desire to serve others in their dream allowed me the opportunity to create my business around it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. I like what you've shared there, and I want to get into let's just talk about SOP, the standard operating procedures, in the context of what it means for small businesses in the coaching or consulting space who may be watching this. Let's talk about practically what does the meaning or what standard operating procedures brings to your business.
So, Let's just rip off the band-aid. Consider it as a recipe for the success for your business. It's a set of instructions that describes the steps required to perform the process and to help you achieve the goal. So it's kind of like if you want to make a cake, but you don't want to really have to always explain all the directions to the person who's helping you make the cake. Here you go.
Right, right. So that they can run with it. Right. You're if you're doing it right now, in terms of doing all the things by yourself, then you're in for a rude awakening if you really want to grow, because you cannot do all things by yourself. And you know, I had to discover that the hard way, Cora. So I'm really happy that you're having this conversation, so that those of us or those watching who are near the beginning of their business or realizing this and need to make a turnaround will realize that you can't do it all by yourself. And if you have a way for the way that things work, so in the case of a bakery, or if you're even if you don't have a bakery, if there's a certain cake that you normally make, you can't do it all the time. So having a way that it needs to run, or to be baked, or having certain things in your business that needs to be done a certain way, which you feel like, oh, I know the way that it has to be done, so I have to do it. You can actually create an SOP, a standard operating procedure, so that you can just take that task or take that project or that part of your operation, and be able to delegate it to somebody else. And this is especially helpful, and I've discovered this, where you have turnover, as all
Yeah.
business will have turnovers. So you may have a virtual assistant that is your right hand gal or guy, and they know how things work. But what if they have to leave? What if they have to move on? Right? If you
Right.
don't have SOPs in place for the things that they're doing, when you bring the next person on, you're going to find yourself spending a lot of time having to explain those tasks to the new persons. Am I right?
Correct. And that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing that a lot of business owners kind of forget. Like life does happen. What if they get pregnant, or what if a family member gets sick and they thought they were going to be out for a day and now they're out for a month, and you're like, "Oh, I don't do that aspect of that job anymore." So you it's that wonderful beginning of picking that brain session to allow them to still be organized, still be simple, but everybody knows you can still help out each other and still grow your team.
Mm, perfect. Yeah, and yeah, like you said, illness happens. I had a bout earlier this year, back in February, where my dad was in the hospital for a week, and I was less present in my business than I would have liked to have been. So having those systems in place was key. So, what are in terms of getting from stress to structure, when should the average solopreneur or coach or consultant that's watching this, when should they start to consider incorporating SOPs in their businesses?
The same time as they're starting to incorporate their business plan. When the ideal is formed, you're pretty much, if you're creating your business plan, you should be creating your SOPs. At No one ever knows when the upscale is going to come or when the influctuation is going to come.
Yeah.
No one wants to be in the midst of the storm, backtracking, trying to now get all these things in place. So while you're formulating the ideas, this is where you lay out those plans. You're going to change them. If you already have SOPs, you need to go back and check them and see if they still work. Do you need to tweak them? And if you don't, you need to create them. And it starts with something simple. A lot of my coaches and a lot of my mentors, they would loom. They would literally record what they wanted me to do. And then from there, I would mimic it. And then we would create a physical SOP, whether paper or digital, for them to have. It doesn't have to be extremely complicated, but you need to start as soon as your business starts.
Right, right, right. I've used Loom before as well, loom.com, just for those watching, loom.com. But yes, right away, so just as important as it is to, establish your social media profiles or get the website up and running, it's just as important to start have the SOPs, because you never know when the growth is going to come, and you want to be ready to receive those people and have systems running as they should. So, what are some key components to laying the foundation to create SOPs for business?
There's a lot of key components, but my personal favorite is three. And I use this example when I'm explaining this to anybody. Everybody ties their shoes differently. How does your company tie their shoes? You're going to explain it in the finest details. So, in order to do that, normally the three basics you can do is you need objection and scope, responsibilities and procedures. The objection and the scopes tells whoever is taking on that task not only the why they are doing what they're doing, but the scope of in what context. You're not going to give your social media an admin task. So they need to kind of know, like, oh, this goes into this area, this goes into that one. Responsibilities, that allows that individual to know what they can and cannot do. If I'm on customer service, for, whether on the phone or email, how far do I answer a client? How far do I pull back? It lets them know what they can and cannot do within your business. And then the procedure is the steps that you want them to do. So if you have a client that is like pushing back and you can tell that, "Eh, maybe this should be pushed to the CEO, my manager, the boss." Well, what's the steps to do that smoothly? So the client may not know that, oh, this is an escalated call, but you guys know how to take that escalated call and do that turnaround. A lot of that is just those fine, simple instructions that kind of gives somebody an idea of what they can and cannot do in the company.
So repeat the three. So it's objective, scope, and responsibilities.
Its objection and scope is one,
Okay.
responsibility, and then procedure.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Great, great, great. I'm going to read a couple of comments here. Without SOPs, we could be SOL. That's from Heidi. And Lynn says, so true, Cora. Every small business needs SOPs in their business. Absolutely. So, what do you find is the biggest mistake that people make when trying to create an SOP for their business?
A few. Not giving it enough time, meaning they wrote it, but it's on a sticky note that is stuck somewhere and it never went anywhere, or not conducting enough research in the sense of, okay, I wrote it, or we got some ideas, but we didn't really test this out to see that it worked, and now it's time to test it out, and it totally fumbled, and you're like, oh, maybe if we would have just tried this a little earlier, it may, or giving too much details or not enough details. You it's your manual. Not, every time you buy an appliance or you buy something from a store, you get a manual. You want that in your business as well. Now, if I don't know how to fix a refrigerator, please don't give me all the intricate details. I don't need to know that. But just give me a small troubleshooting guideline. I can follow that. That's kind of what your SOPs are. It's that troubleshooting. What's the first step? Don't always have to run to your manager or your boss. Try this first step first, and then let's problem solve from there. So you want to kind of keep it simple, but
Yeah.
make it work for your business.
Yeah, yeah. I know. And what came to mind when when you said, say if it's you're trying to build a refrigerator and you give this person a manual that's the size of this to build it, right? I thought about toys for children that comes with like 1,000 pieces and instructions that are this thick. Usually never gets that thing that you have to construct or put together doesn't get done or doesn't get done as quickly
Absolutely.
as it could because it's too overwhelming. And I think that's what I'm hearing in terms of the mistake that you find. One of the mistakes that people make is that they either give too much instruction or not enough.
Correct.
Great, great. So what's the big takeaway that you have about SOPs or the creation process of SOPs that you really want for those business owners listening to take value from and really run away with today?
The big takeaway, if your SOPs is written with clear instruction, any person reading it should know exactly what needs to be done. By following the SOPs, they should be successful in following the directions. So again, tying your shoe. Everybody ties their shoes differently. But if I explain it to you in such a way that you could tie it the same way I would tie it, I've done my job. Now, if I explain it to you and you still can't tie it the way I tied it, that means maybe we need to go re- let's retry some things. Let's fix a little bit of it. And you'll actually find out that a lot of times your team members have some great ideas to make some of this stuff faster. So you actually will start to let them create some of your SOPs and you just go back and try to make sure it works. But you'll find out a lot of times they have quicker ways or great ideas that you never would have known had they not been in this process.
Yes, yes, and I feel like that comes back to what you were saying about scope as well, or I know you mentioned something about explain. Don't just give persons tasks, but explain the reason why you're doing this, so that if you say to somebody, the end result is that I just want the shoelace tied, and they know that that's the result, and you've done an SOP of the way that you've been doing it and the way that has worked. If they know the end result, they may find a quicker way or a more efficient way to accomplish the end goal. So I like what you've shared there. That sometimes empower your team members to come to the table with their own ideas that may actually get your goals or systems completed in a faster way, more efficient way than you yourself had even thought of. Great, great. We learned so much from you today. Thank you so much for sharing this. I know that many business owners are watching that will really benefit from this. Now, I have shared your where persons can follow you online and find your website in the resource document, which is in the caption of this live stream. I want you to share with us, because I know that your business is doing some big things in the upcoming few months here. What is something that folks can look out for from your business?
Well, I'm currently updating my website. I'm adding a few team members to the team as well. And so we're working on freebies and some onboarding, and we're onboarding some new clients. So give me a few and you'll be able to head on, subscribe, and you'll get to figure out how to kind of make the SOP process a little bit more easier and more fun.
Great, great, great. So you can follow Cora using the links that are in the resource document. Make sure to stay in her space so that you can see what her and her team are doing and whether or not you and your business can benefit from some of those resources. And of course, she'll be sharing tips around SOPs and systems and structure and all that good stuff on her social media profiles. All right. Thank you so much again, Cora, for being with us
Thank
and all
you.
that you brought to the table today. It was a pleasure. It was very enlightening. Let me see just a couple more comments. Heidi says she loves the analogy about tying your shoes and she can't wait for your doors to officially open.
Thank
And let
you.
me see if there is a couple more here. Yvonne says that sounds like a key document for any organization. Very important. I think she was referring to the standard operating procedure in that comment. All right. Thanks again for being here, and we'll be in touch. I'll see you soon.
You too.
All right. So we are moving forward. We have covered so much. I hope you benefited from what Cora said about going from stress to structure, using SOPs in your small business. So we're continuing on with the business theme with my next guest. So let me find her and we're going to dive right in. If you're enjoying this so far, please let me know. Go ahead and comment below and let us know that you're here. Say hi, where you're logging in from, ask a question, or share one of your takeaways. Each person have been sharing takeaways that they really want you to benefit from. But so far, what have you gained and what have you learned, and how this has supported you and helped you today, right? Go ahead and share that in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Heidi says, Stephanie, this is such a great event. Thank you. Thank you so much, Heidi. And again, thank you for presenting your expertise. All right. So I am bringing on my next expert, friend and colleague, Lynn McGinnis. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for having me. This is
You
such a
are,
great event.
yes, yes, it is great. I am actually getting value myself so far, even as the host.
I
And
agree. So
I'm very, come again?
so much information. I've learned something from everyone. I'm so impressed. It's been wonderful. Thank you for doing this.
You are welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for being here and giving us a little bit of your time, as I know that you are too a busy mom, as I am, a busy daughter, a busy business owner, giving a wealth of support to your clients. So let me go ahead and introduce you to our folks formally, and then we'll dive right into what we're going to talk about today. So Lynn McGinnis brings her more than 30 years small business marketing experience to the self-publishing space and teaches authors how to treat their marketing journey like a small business. Through coaching, consulting, and done-for-you marketing services, Lynn helps authors build and grow their platforms, increase visibility, and reach their unique marketing goals. When she's not working, Lynn likes to watch cheesy disaster movies, play Sims 4, and spend time with her husband, two adult children, and their Pomeranians in and around the hills of northern New Jersey. And what we're going to talk about today is how you can use your book to demonstrate your expertise as a marketing tool in any service-based business. All right? Ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, let's dive into this, right? So what led you to doing this kind of work?
I've worked in small business marketing since I was in college, in internships. I've worked in many industries, manufacturing, healthcare, IT. I've worked as a marketing specialist, and so I spent many years working to help build and grow small to medium sized businesses as a marketing specialist. And one of the fields I also had the opportunity to work in was publishing. And I was called to work with a publisher who wanted to create, as an add-on service for her clients, book launch programs. And this was a small self-publisher. And so I created and helped to implement these book launches. And what I learned during the process, because I also got to work within the publisher in every aspect of publishing, from reviewing manuscripts for publication, proofreading, editing, layout, design, everything through distribution and marketing. I wasn't prepared for how unprepared authors were. And I think that part of it came out of the boom of self-publishing from Amazon. Amazon has made it so easy for people to self-publish. And as a result, there are some not so great practices out there. But more than that, the author who has written a book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, if it's a business book, if it's a romance book, whatever it is, their specialty isn't marketing. And so what I came to understand was that they really didn't have the support that they needed. And so what I found was, as I was creating these book launches, successfully launching books for this publisher, at the end of that was a freelance opportunity. At the end of that freelance opportunity, I decided, you know what? I love this. I love books. I love reading. And I decided that I was going to shift my business exclusively into self-publishing and work with authors to help teach authors how to become the small business owners that they are.
Great. I love that story, because a lot of persons, have, writing a book as their bucket list item. And unfortunately, writing, we consider the writing the hard part, and it is. Right. It's challenging to get that book, on paper and get it out there. But then the marketing part of it now is where, if you're not, you could be an author, really expert at what you do, but the marketing piece is not your strength. And then the book doesn't get out there to the people who need to hear what persons have to share through their books. So I'm happy that you are talking about this and supporting authors in this way. So like I said, it's a bucket list item for many people to be published, right? And at the same time, it can be high-level strategy to showcase and demonstrate your expertise as a business owner. Is this what you found in terms of the challenges that people have to overcome to get their book out there?
Oh, absolutely. A book can absolutely help to showcase your expertise to help you stand out in the industry. Nobody does what you do. No one does exactly what you do. And it's not It's not an easy thing to do. There are a lot of challenges. I think most of the time, like you said, that it is a bucket list item, because it is for me. And I've actually set aside November to write my business book, because I haven't done that yet. I've got, bits and pieces of it, but I'm going to put it all together. And I'll publish my book next year. But it is very challenging to do. But it can make you stand head and shoulders above your competition within your industry.
Yes, yes, it can truly, coming to the market, or being in market as a published author, really takes your expertise, your expertise, rather your status as a business owner to the next level. Having doing what you do and having been published as well. So I really agree that it really can position you and have you be a force to be reckoned with in your industry as a small business owner, or coach, or consultant, or service-based business owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's quickly go through the reasoning behind why this is a great way to position yourself or to demonstrate your expertise, and why persons should seriously consider, if they haven't done yet, why should they seriously consider writing a book?
The service-based business owner is unique. They're not, if they're selling a service, they don't have a product. So you can look and say, you can, when you've got when you're producing a widget and you're selling this widget, you can say, like, this is the best widget in the industry. Everybody buys this widget. And, when you're selling a service, it's a little bit different, and it can be challenging. I can tell you, as the owner of a digital marketing agency, it can be really challenging. So you look for things like, you want to share case studies, you want to share reviews from your clients, and accolades from clients and things like that. So it's really unique. It's a unique challenge to demonstrate skills as a service-based business owner. So by writing a book, it enables this service-based business owner to take these systems and these processes that they've created that are really unique to them, and showcase them to demonstrate to people that you know what you're doing. You know your stuff. You know how to solve a problem. You're demonstrating that you have the solution to a problem that perhaps a consumer or another business owner might have, and you've created a system, you've created a process that can solve this problem. And so it's I had one of my clients said it was a very expensive lead magnet. It's a little bit more than a lead magnet, because it is just so much more than that, because it really gives you this opportunity to show who you are and show what you know.
Right. And I'm glad you're talking about the content. I mean, because I think one of the questions that come up for people is whether or not the content or the makeup of the book that you're now writing, say you're a service business owner, a coach, or consultant watching this, should this be a treatise of all the ins and outs of the way that you serve your clients? Should you just put everything in there, your processes and all of that?
See, I know that everybody hears that and they think, oh, I don't want to give everything away. Well, you're going to copyright your book. All right. So you protect your book. That's definitely one of the things you're going to do before you publish your book. You're going to file a copyright with the Copyright Office, so your work is protected. Of course, we always run the risk in the service-based industry about anybody grabbing what you do and taking it. And I think that's something that, it's your baby. You created this system, this process, whatever it is, and you want to be careful. There was a trend for a little while where business owners were writing books, and they weren't sharing everything. They weren't sharing these processes. They were sharing case studies, which everyone loves to hear, because they love to be able to put themselves in that position to see, can you solve my problem? So they love to hear different problems so that they know, they can identify. But what happened with this trend was that these business owners were writing these books with just enough information that people felt tricked. Like, I bought this book and here's a little bit. Oh, you got to hire me to know the rest. We don't do that anymore. You really do. You share everything. Now, there's going to be two people who read this book. There will be the person who takes everything you wrote and attempts to implement it themselves. And that's great. But they will never achieve what you've achieved, because this is yours. and they're never going to be your client anyway. Or maybe not now. Maybe it's not even the right time for them. Maybe they're struggling and they're going to see after they read this book that they really don't have it in them. And there's going to be the business owner. There's going to be the person who realizes that, you know what? Stephanie wrote this book. She really knows what she's doing. I have no idea what I'm going to do. This was great. I learned a lot from this, but I do not have the time to learn this. This is not what I do. I'm going to hire Stephanie to do this for me. And that's who you're writing the book for. And that's why you outline everything in the book.
I love that. Yeah, you can't, and it's kind of what I tell clients too when they ask me, one of the things that I teach my clients is list building, and one of the, and we spoke about it just now, one of the entry levels into list building is creating a lead magnet. And persons ask, so do I give away the store in the lead magnet, or my blog posts or my live streams? Do I tell people give away all my strategies there? And you're right, there's some people that will watch the live stream or download the lead magnet and actually implement and possibly get some success, but it's not going to mirror your success, possibly not in terms of just, a simple live stream or a lead magnet that you did. And there's some that's going to watch it or consume it and say, yes, I definitely need to work with this person. So I fully agree with you there. And that, I want to stay on that point in terms of the people who you're really writing for,
Right.
Who would want to work with you, as we segue into my next question for you, which is the investment involved. Right? Because this is going to be an investment in time, and certainly an investment in money. And I want to talk about that. And I want people listening, and I'm sure you have this advice as well, know that you're going to see a return from the persons who read the book, see you as an expert because you're now a published author, and will want to get even more in your space and invest money to do so. All right. So let's talk about the investments.
So there are a lot of variables. You may need to hire a ghostwriter because you might not have the time. You might need to hire a writing coach. Writing coaches are worth their weight in gold. A good editor, a developmental editor. You really want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. So I would guess, and I know people who charge up to $20,000. I know some of my clients have done it for about $8,000. So I would guess, you don't want to cut corners, but I would say probably between 8 and 20,000. And I know that sounds like so much money. If you look at what you're spending to put in your money, if you look at the return on investment, if you look at, what are you charging your clients? What are you charging as a coach, as a consultant? What are you charging in your service-based business? That's where you hope to have that return on investment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's going to sound daunting, and we're not going to go into all the ins and outs of how Lynn helps her clients today, but there's a lot involved, getting from soup to nuts, from idea to published book to getting it out there, to promoting and marketing and all that good stuff. There's a lot in that journey that I'm sure if you were to see the line item breakdown, you would see it justified as to why it costs. Why the investment looks like that, right? So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So, is this, flat out question, is this an income earner for a business owner?
So not the way you think. So not really in book sales. So to be perfectly honest, most books, a paperback book, you earn about $2 or $3 a book. So we have this idea of what we know about publishing. It's not what it, and we're talking specifically about self-publishing. All right. Because business books, you're really your best bet unless you are very famous, very well known. This is probably how it's going to work. It's going to be a self-published book. And there's really no shame in that anymore. People are producing incredibly beautiful books, great books, really well-written books, and they're publishing them themselves. With the aid of editors, copywriters, professional layout, professional covers. But so not in terms of book sales. So really, there are, the purpose here is for you to attract clients. So, and there are people who do earn money. I know I worked with someone who was speaking at corporate events, at insurance company events. And so every time she spoke at sales events. So her book was presented to salespeople. And so as part of her speaking engagement, if she was paid whatever she was paid to speak, part of the contract also included purchase of maybe 500 books, if it was the number of books per meeting. I know COVID shut down a lot of in-person meetings over the last year and a half, but people are still doing speaking engagements and they're still writing books into contracts. Large corporations are still booking people to speak at their annual events, virtually or in person, hopefully more in person. And that's one avenue to sell your book also, as a companion guide. But yeah, not so much in sales, but hopefully in add-ons, like I said, in gaining new clients and attracting new clients and new contracts and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the opportunities, like you said, to speak, which is also going to lead to new clients and really take your authority level, your leadership level to another, or your authority or leadership status to another level as a published author. Great, great. Thank you for sharing that. Very, very, very important point. So what's a common pitfall or mistake that business owners should be careful to avoid when embarking upon the journey to write and get their books published?
Definitely cutting corners. There was a blog that was published, I want to say it was like 6 years ago. Someone had figured out, and I keep a link to it on my website. Someone had figured out how to calculate how many books were on Amazon. And it turned out, if this was 6 or 8 years ago, they figured out that there were 5 books, one book every 5 minutes was published to Amazon. And I use Amazon as an example because Amazon is the world's largest bookseller. So now Amazon has since removed the ability to see how many books are on Amazon, so it's hard to tell. But I called them to find out. They have no idea. The number of books that are added to Amazon's catalog every day is about a book a minute. It changes constantly.
Wow.
So my point to this is that if there are that many books and yours is one of those books, it is to your advantage to present the best written, the most beautifully covered book that you could possibly produce.
Yes.
Don't cut corners to save money. It is absolutely an investment. I recognize it is a large investment, as any published author will tell you. But I think the biggest mistake that business owners make is cutting corners, maybe not hiring an editor, so you put out a book that's not so great, not hiring a professional cover designer, so you have a cover that's not so great, and then it falls flat, and then they wonder why. Yeah.
Very sage advice, very important.
Yeah.
So what's the big takeaway that you can share that would get folks excited about finally becoming a published author?
Your story is unique. I always say that if God put a story on your heart, somebody needs to read it. And I think that if business owners really consider what they do, you're special, you're unique. No one does what you do, how you do it. So I think that what you do matters. And there are people out there who need what you have. So share it. Don't hide it.
Yeah. Powerful words. So we could take it off the bucket list and actually make it happen. All right. You have a free resource that business owners can use right now, even if they haven't, or even if they have published their book. Can you share what that is and why people should download it?
Every book is sold from an author's platform. And so I created a free download. It's just 5 things that every author needs that they can do right now to improve their platform, to increase visibility. And even if you haven't published yet, I think that it's a great thing to look at because it'll give you an idea of what you need to have in place, some of the moving parts that you need to have in place when you do publish.
Okay, and you can find the link for that for those watching in the, there is a link in the caption of this live stream. Once clicked, you can, you'll see a presentation there of all the speakers on our expert panel, as well as where you can follow them online and the resources that they've shared today. So persons can get a hold of that. And this really quickly just shares where we can follow you online, although I know it's in the document.
Yeah, it's in the document. LinkedIn, I'm Lynn Presty McGinnis. On Instagram and Twitter, I'm Lynn McG. And on Facebook, I'm Lynn McGinnis Author Marketing. So you can find me everywhere.
Great, great, great. And
Thank
let
you,
me
Stephanie.
share some feedback from those watching. Heidi says you have such a wealth of experience, Lynn, and doing all of that in such a full house. So impressive. Talking about the many hats that you're wearing there. And
Thanks,
I love
lady.
that our stories are unique. We all have people to help and serve. And Yvonne says, wow, Lynn, I never thought that anyone would be interested in my story. Yes, yes, absolutely. And Barbie says, this is great, Lynn. You are so powerful.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you love helping authors and you spend your days doing that. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for lending your expertise and thank you for the resource that you've shared with us today. Folks, again, you can download that in the document that's in the caption right here. Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks,
Enjoy the rest of
Stephanie.
your day, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Oops. My apologies. Thank you so much for sticking with us so far. Again, as you're joining us, let us know that you're here. Say hi to myself and the experts that are joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how this is going for you so far. And even as you're watching the replay, go ahead and comment below, tag one of the experts so that they can know that you were here, that you did tune in, share a big takeaway or ask a question, and I'll be sure to put that forward to our guest experts today. I'm going to switch gears and we're talking about some other exciting things with my next guest. Let me bring her forward. That is the lovely Dr. Robin Bragg. Hi, Robin. Go ahead and say hi again. For some reason, the audio sounds a little strange, a little warped, little like kind of like with some feedback there. Do you have multiple devices open, or is the mic somehow covered or muffled, or yes, because there's a little
Is that better now?
yes, yes,
Yeah. Okay.
just a
All right. I just
little
switched to
bit
a
of a
different
delay.
microphone.
It just has a little bit. I can hear you clearly, but it has a slight delay. So I see your mouth moving, I think, before. If you just say something again, really quick, to say testing.
Testing.
Yeah, just as it's crystal clear, just a little bit of a delay, but we can work with that.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So we have the lovely Robin Bragg joining us right now. And let me go ahead and give folks your formal introduction. And we're going to dive right into your fun topic right now. So Dr. Robin Bragg is a certified hypnotic coach with more than 20 years in pharmacy and healthcare, 17 years in training and development, and 5 years as a yoga, meditation, and breathwork instructor. Bringing a wealth of practical knowledge from her personal and professional experiences to her coaching work, she helps overwhelmed women juggle their careers, spouse, children, and aging parents. Her programs help clients find balance in their lives, stop doing it all by themselves, rediscover their true self and inner spark, and enjoy their children's childhoods and their parents' remaining years. She received her Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the Ohio State University, her coaching certification from the Happy Whole Human Institute of Holistic Wellness, and her yoga and meditation instructor certification from Yoga on High Teacher Training and Ayurveda Institute. Dr. Robin Bragg lives in Columbus, Ohio with her husband David and 2 elementary school aged boys. When not working, she likes to cook dinner over the backyard campfire, dance to a live band, or jump on the trampoline with her boys. Fun, fun, fun. She's always one to appreciate a sense of humor and loves laughing with others, so much that she also serves as a certified laughter yoga leader. Even more fun. Lovely bio. Enjoyed reading that. Thank you so much for being here, Robin.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's great to be here.
Great, great. So what we're going to talk about today is what Robin has titled overcoming the mom identity crisis and reclaiming fun and fulfillment in all areas of life. So, as I said before, we're segueing here from business and we're looking at a different area here. So, I really, really want to dive into this. I am a mom, right? And certainly I want to have more fun. I'm always up for more fun and fulfillment in all areas of my life. So, as you tune in, let us know that you're here, and any point that resonates with you, go ahead and comment that below. And if you have any questions for Robin, please feel free to post that as well. So, let's define the mom identity crisis right away. Explain that some more for those who are watching.
Yeah, so it basically boils down to, if you looked back 100 years, women were pretty much going straight from their parents to getting married and having kids, right? And now that's not what we're doing. Now we're doing it all. So we're waiting to have kids. I didn't have my kids until I was in my 30s, and I know women who've had their kids in their 50s. So basically, we have that time, whether it's in our 20s or our 30s or whatever, but we're figuring out who we actually are as people, right? So we're going into motherhood already knowing, like, what do we really like? What turns us on? What makes us tick? What hobbies and interests do we enjoy? And so we go into motherhood and we have all that stuff sort of like figured out, and then we have a baby. And I know that when you have a baby, it's like all of a sudden that is all you're doing, right? So yeah. You're momming full time. And so all that stuff just kind of drifts away. And it's not necessarily like a planned process, but it just happens where you kind of cut those things out pretty dramatically. And then if you don't really work and consciously add them back in, you kind of wake up years later and you go like, oh my God, like, who am I? Like, all I do is I mom and I work, and that's like it. Your calendar is just totally jam-packed with stuff, and it's all basically giving stuff, right? So you're giving in your career and in your job, and you're giving to your kids, to your parents, to your to all your other obligations. So it's just your spouse, giving. And so your life ends up completely out of balance. And you end up in this sort of identity crisis of not knowing who you are, but realizing that, like, you want more. You're not completely fulfilled by this. And then there's like, so that's like the work-life balance is out of whack. And also the balance between self and others is completely out of balance. So most of us are givers naturally, and we're caring people. And so we just tend to give, and we forget to give to ourselves. And then if we try, we feel guilty. So that's what it's about.
Yeah, right. And it makes sense, right? Especially when you said, you dive into marriage and you're this is new for you. You want to, be the best, wife ever. You want to, master things. You want to, make sure you're keeping a good household and doing all the things. And then you become a mother, and then it's all about that. You want to master that. You want to be there for the kids. You want to make sure that they're, they're fully satisfied. You want to make sure that you can run the proper household with the kids in it, keep things organized, and then you have your work, your career, your business, and then you're giving attention to that as well. And as women, we're just trying to keep things organized, do the best we can, make everybody happy. And like you said, we forget about self, we forget about our goals, our dreams, and we don't give that the attention that it deserves, right? So
absolutely.
From a practical standpoint, for the moms that are watching that can totally identify with this crisis, or rather, how can the moms that are watching identify with this crisis? How can we start to overcome it?
Yeah. So I think it's like three beliefs that I kind of want to say here. So the first is like the belief that you're the only one going through this. That is just absolutely not true, right? I mean, we both understand it. And there are millions of mothers that are like in the same thing right now. So you're absolutely not alone in having these thoughts. Whatever the thoughts are, there are other women having them as well. And I know the thoughts get kind of guilty sometimes and so forth. And you're not alone going through that either. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is just believing that you can actually change it. I think so often, we see that we're having the struggle and we look around and we say, well, she looks like she's having the same struggle and it seems to be going on over there. And my friend was talking about it last week, and we get kind of this like idea that it's just how it is. Like there is no way out. This is just how it's like supposed to be. And so I would tell them that it is not, it doesn't have to be this way. Just because it may be kind of the norm, it's not set in stone that you have to just wait until your kids move out before you add these things back into your life and have more fulfillment yourself. Like, you don't have to wait. And then the third thing is that the belief that it's selfish, right? If we try to focus on ourselves right now, because we are needed and pulled in so many places, and it would be selfish for us to pay attention to ourselves. And I want to say that that is totally not true. And that the only thing that really leads to is like resentment and burnout, right? If we keep doing this and we don't pay attention to ourselves, we are going to suffer. And not just us, like everybody around us is also going to suffer.
Those are some great tips. Yeah. You do sometimes feel like you're alone in this, right? That, you're the only one that just can't seem to get everything have everything under control and pursue your life goals, right? Which is one of the things that you shared. So what would you say is the biggest mistakes that moms make that keep them from reclaiming the fun and feelings of fulfillment and accomplishment in their lives?
Yeah, so I think one of the big ones is letting that guilt stop them. As you get into these thoughts, you're like, what did I used to do that was fun? Oh yeah, I went to that, that painting class on Saturday afternoons, and I could do that again. And then you immediately get hit with something like, oh, if I went to that painting class, then my partner would have to watch the kids, and he doesn't like to make their lunches. He thinks that's stressful. And I just can't do that. I can't even ask. So we just shut ourselves down without even like giving it a chance to actually work for us. And so the guilt trap, the guilt is just like so big for everybody, but especially I feel like moms, we have just an inordinate amount of guilt. So that's actually what my gift today is about. I'm going to talk about that at the end, but just letting that guilt control us. So I would love to see moms stop letting the guilt control them and get that. And then the second thing I would say is like not asking for help, because it's my experience that we don't have a lot of models of people doing this, of women doing what we're wanting, right? It's not that common. It's more common to see what we have, which is like all the things and no self-care. So we kind of need to ask for somebody to help us figure out how to do this process and to kind of support us and hold our hands in it and tell us that it is not selfish. You're not being selfish to ask for this. I support you. And that's kind of what I do as a coach, is I help them get a real concrete plan. We do a lot of values work so that it becomes like crystal clear that you're actually making the right decision. If you can look at a list of your values and say like, this is totally in line with my values, I need to make this happen. And then it's easy to carve out something that isn't in line with your values and chuck it. Get rid of that stuff. And you can also, once you know your values, you know how to say no. And that is so important, because we are givers, right? Like we do just give. And when people ask us to do something, even if it kind of makes us cringy inside, we go, well, I know I could do a good job at doing it, and I guess I could do it. And we do it, and then we kind of resent doing it because it's not something that's in line with what we want to do, and it doesn't actually help us meet those quality of life measurements that we want.
Yeah. I love that. And one of the things that came to mind as you were talking was, they normally say, like, when you travel on a plane, that you should put your oxygen mask first before, if you're traveling with a child, put on your mask first before helping the child with theirs. And isn't it true that a lot of these things that bring us more fulfillment and accomplishment in our lives will allow us to be better moms, better partners, better business owners or employees, bring more of ourselves or better, a better version of ourselves to the people in our lives that care for us and need our support as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, if our cup isn't full, we can't give anything to anybody else. So just what you said, perfect. And
Great.
And, you know, we've put, it's just amazing how once we get actually happy, you know, once we become happy, we're better for everybody. We're better moms. We're more patient.
Yeah.
You know, we have more fun with our kids. Once we get clear on on our balance issues, and we decide to be present, right? So we are fully present when we're like in quality time with our kids. We're there. We're not on our cell phone. We're not daydreaming about work. We're actually like involved with what we're doing. And the same thing for work. We're better at work because we're now focused on work and not worried about, oh my God, am I being a good enough mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with our spouses or our partners, whoever our partner is, you know, the problem with not having these outside interests and these ways to stimulate us mentally is that we tend to rely on that partner for everything, right? And that partner didn't sign up for everything. When they married us, we had or got together with us, we had other interests and we had ways to get our needs met. And now we're suddenly relying on them for everything, and they don't want to be our everything. And not only that, but they can't. Like nobody, this isn't Jerry Maguire. Like nobody completes the other person. You know, you have to be complete on your own.
Right. Unlike the movie. Yes, that's true. Good point. So there's hope and a big silver lining in all of this, I'm sure. What is a key takeaway that you have for moms listening to this who want to keep in mind that you want for them to keep in mind or pay attention to after watching this interview, after hearing what you've shared today?
Yeah, as far as like what to pay attention to, I would just ask them to look for that voice, right? Listen for that voice in their heads that's saying that they want to do something, and then listen for the voice that's saying they can't. So start to get in touch with that and hearing. Once we become aware of that guilty voice that's talking to us or that negative voice, we start to be able to do something about it. It's so natural that sometimes you don't even notice that it's there. It's just talking nonstop. As a normal part of your internal landscape. But and I would just say that it doesn't have to be like this. So if you're feeling these things, just know that there is hope, and you can totally you don't have to live in this forever. And you don't have to wait till your kids move out. I know that's like the easy thing to go to, like, oh, eventually I'll be able to do this thing. You don't have to wait. You can do it now. You know, I was in a car I had a used car. And I bought the car because it was like a good price, and it was like, it had good ratings and good reviews. So I get the car, and I'm 5'3", and it's clear that this car was made for a 6'4" dude. I mean, the seatbelt cuts into my neck, right? And when I put my foot on the gas with my seat at the right distance, my other foot can't rest on the footrest. It just can't reach it. Right? And then when I go to look back this way to change lanes, the seatbelt thing is huge right in my face, and I can't see. And so like I could go on and I could drive this car and I could just keep driving it and suffering, or I could trade that car in and get a new one, right? And so I'm hoping women will see that this is like the situation, but you don't have to drive that car forever. You can chuck it and get a new one, and you can do the same thing and add these things back in like right now and change your life this year, this month, and be so much happier down the road.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. There's hope. Moms who are listening, there's hope. It doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
So I know that you have a resource and a growing community where you're supporting moms who resonate with this. Can you tell us about that and how people can stay connected with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my resource is the Busy Mom's Guide to Eliminating Mom Guilt. So it is all about recognizing that voice in your head, and then some practical steps of what to do about it, about learning some skills of like how to change that interior dialogue and talk back to that voice as a good friend, as a compassionate person, or even think about like, what would your good friend tell you if you were in this situation? You know, so some practical ways to deal with that. And get past that guilt, because that is a big stopper of all parts of our lives, to be honest.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then the link to that is in the resource document, which is linked in the caption of this live stream, wherever you're tuning in. Go ahead and click on that. You will see information there about all of our experts on the panel today, as well as where you can follow them online and the resource that they're sharing with you. So I presume that once persons click on that, they'll be able to, they'll get information about your Facebook group. They can follow you on Facebook as well, and on Instagram, and where you're hanging out, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I have a Facebook group. It's called Beyond Mom, and it's for moms who are going through the same sort of thing. And also a website where you can get in touch with me if you want to talk with me and see if we might be able to work together to help you, speed up the process.
Okay, perfect. I want to thank you again for being here. Let me just, I'm sure you'd like to hear some of these comments. Oh, that was, okay, so Heidi says that she's also a certified laughter yoga leader, a bit out of practice though. And she says, yes, Robin, don't mom it alone. I love that. Lynn says, motherhood can be so isolating. This is true. We are not alone. Heidi says, so true, Robin. Stay within our values and learn to say no. Love it. And Heidi says, don't wait to live our own lives. Put the boundaries up now. Thank you so much. You've given her permission to do that. Great. And Yvonne says, oh my OMG, Robin, that was me right there at one point, giving and giving more and not taking care of myself. Barbie says, that's a great point about being able to complete yourself and not depend on anyone else to complete you, contrary to what they portrayed in Jerry Maguire. And Barbie didn't say that. I just put that part in about the movie. And Yvonne says, oh my OMG, Robin, we give up so much of ourselves and sometimes we are never appreciated for the sacrifices that we make. Powerful. Thank you so much for sharing with us today and for being here, taking time out of your busy schedule and lending us your expertise and the resources that you have shared. And I will see you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for staying with us. I appreciate your time and value your time, and really love the comments that you've left here for our guest experts. Keep them coming, even as you're watching the replay. I know that some of you tuned in and then had to leave, so you were not able to interact with all our guests. But the replay is here on the platforms where you're tuning in, anytime for you to watch. And even as you're watching the replay, go ahead and tag our guest experts in your comments and let them know your takeaways as well. You've seen others share their takeaways. Go ahead and share that in the comments section, and let us know where you're joining from. And, again, share your key takeaways and any questions that you have for our experts. So I'm going to move on to our next guest expert, last but not least, as we round out our presentation for today. Give me one moment as I bring her on. We have the lovely Barbie Ehrenberg. Aloha, Barbie.
Aloha. So nice to be here, Stephanie.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you. And folks will understand why I said aloha when I get into your introduction here. Let me go ahead and formally introduce you to Barbie, and then we will dive right in to what she has to share. So this is Coach Barbie Ehrenberg, a woman's life and transformational coach. Her company is Love Your Life Now. She helps women to reconnect with their joy so that they fall head over heels in love with their lives again. She helps women break through their tough mental barriers and stuck points like imposter syndrome so that they can take inspired action to accomplish their goals and desires. And Barbie is joining us right now from beautiful Hawaii. And it's early for her, so she's really giving up her time, as I know she likes to ease into her days, especially in such a beautiful location. But she's here. She's bringing her expertise to the table for those of us that are joining. For those of you that are joining us, so please make her feel welcome. Say hi in the comments below. Let us know where you're joining from, even if you're watching the replay. So what we're going to talk about today, Barbie has titled Overcoming Imposter Syndrome and Reclaiming Your Genius. Welcome again, Barbie. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here, and it's great to be able to talk about imposter syndrome. And I chose that because I found that looking through research, about 70% of everybody either is in imposter syndrome now, has been in it, or is going to be in it maybe more than once. So it's such a huge topic, and it's just one of the barriers that we as women can face as business owners, as solopreneurs, things like that.
Great, great, great. I am excited. I do come across persons, and I would say, I would dare say, I've been there too. And I do come across many clients who they may not define it this way or even realize that it's happening, but they are dealing with this imposter syndrome inside that keeps them from showing up as their best selves, keeps them from even attracting the clients that they'd love to bring into their practice. So let's start with, just a little bit of background here. What do you do in terms of how you work with your clients, and what led you to this work?
Okay, so I'll start with what led me, because that's where my passion is. I as growing up and a young adult, I was really stuck too. I had so many limiting beliefs, and I had this really loudmouth inner critic. And I think other people have a loudmouth critic. Some of them say, "Oh, she's not that bad," but mine was, you could like call her Izzy for misery. And Izzy kept me fearful and inside my comfort zone. And I found that, as I was going through my life, I noticed that I was too afraid to take advantage of these wonderful opportunities that were coming to me, things that I really wanted to do, things that I was asking for. And yet when they came along, Izzy and I were stuck in our comfort zone and just not able to break through the fear and break through the limiting beliefs to try, because, oh, maybe it wouldn't work out well, maybe I might fail. And I think also somewhere in there that I didn't let myself know was maybe I was afraid to succeed too. So yeah, so that's why I'm so passionate, because I was able to break through. I created what I call my 6-step breakthrough system to joy. And it takes women from being stuck. So many reasons why we can get stuck, and most of them are like mental barriers, fears, things like that. They come from the inside, and other people may not even know they're there. To break through, getting through that, and being able to move ahead to do the things that you want to do, that you maybe were born to do, but felt like you haven't been able to do so far because of that feeling of fear, stuckness, just hesitation, concern about what other people might think of you. And so the process that I teach and that I work with is a process to absolutely retrain our brains to just have a different point of view. And so when you can see what your barriers are, you can see what the stuck is, the fears, the limiting beliefs, and know that they're not even true, then you can sidestep them and seize these wonderful opportunities and get to where you want to be. I mean, why wait another minute? Why don't we just start loving our lives, get head over heels in love with our lives again?
Yes.
And so it's all about changing from fearful thinking to empowered thinking. And it's possible to do that. I have a step-by-step process so that with women, we can identify what's going on, figure out this is where I am, but this is where I want to be. So let's take you from where you are to where you want to be using this step-by-step process. And it really has 3 components. So I guess the overall formula would be what I do now, the knowledge and my skills that I have now, I'm getting certain results. I'm not happy with them. I think I can do better. And you can. So you get new knowledge and new skills to get new results. So new knowledge is part of the success system, learning new techniques, learning new skills that you can use. And then the third part that's so important is creating this strategic game plan. So you're not just going everywhere or haphazardly. It's step by step by step. And that's what I work with women on, so that they know that they're taking the right steps for the right things at the right time to get the results they want, instead of what they're getting now, or maybe what somebody else wants for them.
Or what that voice thinks that they're capable of doing, that loudmouth voice that sometimes, that voice is a critic that keeps you back, that tells you that you can't have this a certain kind of the success that you desire. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, give up on that, things like that. I like that when you mentioned that you had that loudmouth critic. And for us, that voice inside is so loud. Even some of us that may have other persons looking up to us and saying, "Oh, that's a great coach," or that person's doing is great at what they do. Even if when persons tell us that the voice inside sounds much louder than what somebody else may be saying.
And also the voice is saying, oh yeah, people look up to you, and they think you're a good business person, but on the inside that you're a fraud. You're just making this up as you go along, and guess what? You're going to get found out and called out. And that's the big fear. Like, we don't want to look less than to other people, and especially the women that we value their opinion. And the truth is that the voice is there, the critic is there, the beliefs are there, but they're not necessarily true. They just came from how we grew up. And so that's part of, like the process. And so I say that imposter belief is a belief system. It's created in our minds. And most of us, I think all of us, as we were growing up, we accumulated these disempowering beliefs, these limiting beliefs, these ideas that not good enough, not valuable enough, can't do anything right. And so when we were little, maybe our parents and other adults, teachers and all of that criticized us heavily, and we just took it to heart. And what happens with the brain is it's amazing how the brain works, but the subconscious is a really powerful part of how our brain works, even though we're not consciously aware of it because it's subconscious. But it heard all these things. It heard all these, these criticisms, these, now you didn't do that right. And it actually captured them on tape, just like a physical tape recorder. And then it begins to play them over again, same old tapes, like of things that happened when we were younger, over and over again. And the more we hear them, the more we believe them, and the more we feel that that's who we are. But it's not. We can do something about this. We can change these tapes. We can learn to find that positive. We can learn to make it a part of our point of view. And then we can override the old tapes so that we have these new positive, empowering tapes. And so can you see, if you have the new positive, empowering tapes, what a big boost it is for your self-conscious, your self-worth, your self-confidence like that. It really is amazing.
I'm just going to read a couple of comments for you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Mary says, aloha. So true, Barbie. And Heidi says, Barbie, that's so true. When we're little, we believe all that people say to us and make it unconsciously a part of who we are. And so I'm really happy that, and Lynn also, Lynn also said, we can change these tapes. Yes, this is huge. Too many women struggle with it. And Robin says, such valuable and important work to do, Barbie. And you mentioned the key. You mentioned that your 6-step system. You kind of gave us those 3 parts. Anything you want to say about those key components of your 6-step breakthrough system, of how you get persons to overcome that imposter syndrome, change those tapes, change that way of thinking in order to achieve the goals we want in life, or live a more fulfilling life, and really be the best, really put our real actual capabilities to work and be the best that we can be in whatever area of our life that we're pursuing excellence.
And the truth is that every woman has so much more inside, that she may be accessing and afraid to express or hasn't accessed yet. And so with the knowledge, first we learn about how this works, like why our brains, create these barriers for us. And pretty much it's just things that our subconscious has heard over the years and clings to. But the nice thing about this, and one of the pieces of knowledge is as adults, we have the capacity, we have the ability, and we actually have the responsibility to get in there and start changing those tapes just by going step by step, figuring out what it is that's holding you back, and then be okay with it because that's where we are. Okay, and know that we can move through this. And then the skills part is I teach a lot of different techniques and different little tools so that you can start creating instead of the negative chatter that, for example, my Izzy is telling me. I can turn that around to make it positive and believable, because when I start turning it around, I can see, oh yeah, that is really more true for who I am today, for my value system and what I've learned. And then step by step, you begin to actually overwrite the old tapes and you begin to swap them out. So new tapes for old. And what happens is you begin this path of becoming more and more who you are inside, more and more of who you are meant to be, and not who your critic decided that, you could be, because the critic only knows what it was taught when you were growing up and you weren't fully mature and fully competent. And so that's the exciting part. There's solutions to imposter syndrome and so many other mental barriers.
Okay. So can you share an example for us of how the mental barriers work in real life?
Yeah. So, for example, imposter syndrome is, like an example of how the mental barriers work. We have these old tapes that get played over and over again because our subconscious is trying to do two things. It's trying to conserve energy because it has so many tasks to do in just a fraction of a second ongoing, and it's also there to protect us. So when the old tapes come up, it's kind of like saying, wait a minute, don't go there. There's danger. Just stay in your comfort zone. You'll be really fine there. You'll be really comfortable, right? But when you're in your comfort zone, you're not out trying new things. You're not out learning. You're not out really becoming the person that you can be. It's trial and error. And it's practice, practice, practice. So it's always been said, practice makes perfect, but practice also makes permanent. And that's where we want to get to the permanent overriding of the tape, so that we can have the perspective that, yes, I can do this, and maybe I won't succeed at every single thing, but you better believe I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to succeed at a lot of things. And gives you sort of like the confidence and the motivation to try things that before you thought weren't really possible, but they really weren't.
Okay, I thought I lost you just now in terms of the audio, but I think we're okay. Okay, so going back to the imposter syndrome, in order to overcome it, we kind of need to know, like how it starts, right? How would you say imposter syndrome gets started?
It gets started by the way we grew up, by our subconscious hanging on to the criticisms and the like little statements that maybe teachers and parents give us without even realizing how impactful they are. And our little brains hear that and we store it away. And then along comes our adult critic like Izzy and keeps telling us over and over again, don't do that, can't do that. No, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Not worthy.
Yeah.
You just can't do this. And the truth is that you can. You just need to step by step move through and give Izzy new ammunition that instead of negative is positive, so that she's your cheerleader. Come on, let's go. We can do this. Get out of your comfort zone. Try the new things. And of course, you're not going to succeed at everything, but you're going to succeed at a lot more than maybe you think you can right now.
Very powerful, very powerful. And I love the name that you give to your inside voice. So how do you explain why our brains work this way?
It's just, unfortunately, this is the way our brains were designed and hardwired. And so, we think, oh my gosh, that seems so, archaic. It seems so with it, but this is the way the brain still works. So we just need to understand that, and we start working with the brain the way it is, and we begin to create the experiences, create the knowledge, use the tools to override the negative tapes and come up with we swap them out for positive, empowering tapes that make us understand. It's not even feel, it's really understand and know how much more we can do, and we don't have to worry about stepping out. We step out with confidence. We'll succeed most of the time. Sometimes we won't, but everything, of course, success or failure is a learning process. And if we can take it as that, oh boy, like that didn't work out so well, but boy, did I learn a lot for next time. Yeah, that was good.
Great. Let me read a couple of comments here for you. Lynn is saying, thank you, Barbie. Great information. Heidi says, I love how you transformed and helped Izzy to write new tracks. And Mary says, or are we told to say safe? Boring. Lol, LOL. And Yvonne says, yes, Barbie, I can relate. Very important to face our fears and keep very important to face our fears despite the fears that we're feeling. I think that's what you're trying to say. So let's talk solutions, right? Now that we're aware, and now that we have the awareness of the tricks our minds can play on us, or the tracks that we've been writing, what are some solutions to imposter syndrome and these blocks that we have?
I created a 6-step breakthrough to joy system that has the solutions in it, and it's step by step. So it involves what we were talking about, the knowledge, new skills, and also this strategic game plan. So you're working step by step, systematically, and not just kind of like throwing spaghetti on the wall to see if it sticks. So what I'm talking about, I work with you on, is a very specific plan so that you can take step-by-step measures and see results step by step. And as you go through, the results get faster, the steps get longer, and you can feel a lot more of the power of taking your brain, your subconscious in hand and saying, hey, guys, we're going to play a different game here. We're going to play a game based on who I really am and not who you think I used to be. And
great.
I have a new 6-week individual coaching program. I've just completely revamped it, put in new tools, new knowledge that I'll be launching. And I'm going to take about 3 to 4 beta students. So we're going to work through the program hand in hand together, and they'll get extra coaching, they'll get extra bonuses. And they can give me feedback. When you're in the program, you can give me feedback, and that will help me working with you to make a better program. So in the beta test that I'm getting started with, of course, there'll be a highly discounted price so that anyone who's in the beta test will be able to get the same knowledge, the same results as anyone else, just at a discounted price, because we're going to be working through the kinks and making sure that everything is perfect at the other end for you and also for the program. And so I'm offering a 30-minute discovery call so that I can talk to you in person. Well, we won't be in person, will we? We're going to be over Zoom, but face to face, and find out what's keeping you stuck, what are your goals for the next 6 weeks, and how I can help you if I'm a fit for you. And then I can tell you more details about the 6-week program and see if it's something that you'd be interested in.
Yes, very, very exciting. So I love that you've shared this, Barbie. I am aware of your 6-step breakthrough system as you and I have worked together. And what I like about what you're embarking upon, because I was going to ask you what's coming up in your work right now. What I love about you embarking upon this beta run of the 6-step breakthrough system with a small group of folks is that you get hands-on, the persons taking part will get hands-on support from you virtually anyway. and really get to be a part of something that will help even more people. And for being a part of that initial group, you get a chance to work with Barbie at way less than she would have charged her full-time coaching clients. And I believe it's well timed, and I believe it's great for this audience because I know many persons watching, as I know I have come across many persons in my own coaching business who truly suffer from imposter syndrome, have these barriers that are holding them back, keeping them from showing up, keeping them from getting visible, keeping them from going after the clients that they know they can support because they may feel like they're not good enough, and they hold themselves back because it's safer to do so, and they don't realize their full potential. So just to repeat what Barbie said, to be considered to be a part of this beta run of the program, what you can do is have a chat with her, just a short, I think it's 15 to 30-minute chat with her. The link to do that, I'm not quite sure you shared it with me yet, Barbie, but I'm going to update the resource documents that I've shared here in the caption. That will have the link to book a chat with Barbie, no strings attached. She can share with you, give you some tips in terms of overcoming your own barriers. She can tell you about the program, and if it's a fit, she'll invite you to join her in the beta run. So once after this, I'm going to update the document with the link to schedule that chat with her, and then you can take it from there. Is it a link that you know offhand, Barbie? Do you want to share it quickly, or do you want me to just update it?
Kind of a long link. I think if you put it in the, like in the document, that would be easier. I can tell you what it is, but as I said,
But it's a long link.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's just so you'll know when you see it, it's https calendly.com/Coach Barbie /30min_discovery.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to put it, just in case folks don't remember that, I'm going to put it in the document, in the resource file, so that persons can get a hold of that, get a chat, schedule a chat with you, find out more about the beta run of the program, and, get closer to overcoming their imposter syndrome and bringing out the genius within. So thank you so much for spending your time.
So they can tell their Izzy, like, to just take a back seat. I've got this.
Thank you for that word of encouragement, and thank you for lending us your expertise and your time today. Really, got a lot from this segment. Very enlightening, practical tips, and you made it. It makes just so much sense the way that you put it. All these tracks that we're playing in our heads that hold us back from living life to our fullest potential. So thank you for being here. We'll be in touch soon, and I'm going to close this off. I'm going to say a final goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Great. All right. Thank you, folks, for tuning in today. This was a powerful session. This was a powerful presentation. I am very, very thankful for all the experts that joined us today and shared their expertise with you. I'd love for you to just, as you're watching this, just say a quick thank you as well. It took a lot to put this together, and persons sacrificed their time to be here, the experts on our panel, and we couldn't be happier. They couldn't be happier to be here and share their expertise with you. So please go ahead and comment below and let us know any big takeaways, or just say hi, just say thank you. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and tag the respective experts, and they'll come back. They'll get a notification on Facebook or YouTube where you're watching this, and they'll be able to respond to those questions. Don't leave without getting a hold of the resource document. It's a live document that I own. It's on Google. I can update it, which I will, because there's a few resources that may not have been shared in the document that were mentioned today. I want for you to get a hold of that. So still go ahead and click the link in the caption so that you can have access to that document. You'll see all the experts, their bios, their information about them, as well as where you can follow them online to stay in their space and be a part of things that they have that are coming up in the near future. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. And I will see you on a future live stream presentation. All right? Bye.